So the idea for the Blue Hour actually stemmed from my screenwriting 2 class. We had a project where we were supposed to write a short film under 15 pages, I believe, and there were no limitations to genre or anything like that. So the day came for us to pitch ideas for our short film, and I have always had this idea of sort of exploring like a scavenger hunt of sorts, of like a journey for the main character to go through, and that's where the original idea came from. So in the original script, Arden was supposed to visit three locations. She was supposed to visit a diner, a forest, and then like a canyon mountain top like location, to find these images that her mother left behind for her to find in case she ever lost herself or found herself not really knowing where she was going in her photography career. So when cinema thesis started, I had to go back and reread The Blue Hour, which I hadn't at that point touched in about 3 or 4 months or so, considering summer went by from when I took screenwriting and to when I started to take cinema thesis. And then I rewrote the script to be what it is now, which it got narrowed down to one film location, which in Arden's world, she only goes to the forest, and then we have the indoor location at the beginning when she's in her attic, and then at the end when she's in her bedroom. And then shooting location wise, we went to about three different parks to get those outdoor scenes. So, as I mentioned before, the original script for the Blue Hour had two other locations aside from the forest scenes, which was the diner and the mountain like top. And considering I live in suburban Texas, there really isn't mountainous areas. And there was really no time to really location scout outside of my area, my local area, because, I'd have to take time out of the semester, take time out of everybody else's semester, considering, I had uh, Ella, who's my youngest actor. She's in school, and then Megan, who's my oldest, she has work and she has other things that she needs to do. And my crew members were also classmates of mine, so that was really impossible to do. And then diner wise, I actually helped somebody on a set where we shot in a diner, and there's just no way that they're gonna close down business for you to shoot your scenes for 12 hours a day or whatever. And then we were constantly dealing with people interrupting or needing to go to the restroom, etc., etc. So just narrowing down to the forest was really the easiest choice for all of us in the end. And I think it worked out because it's gorgeous, and being out in nature really resonates with the story that Arden's going through, of her sort of not knowing where she is, feeling like her work's not good enough, and going back into the woods where her mother first teaches her about the art, first teaches her about photography, where she first holds her camera. It just really, I think, comes full circle. I'm trying to remember, but I think the Blue Hour took about 5 days in total to shoot. Not back to back, but we had to use like the weekends of weeks because in a regular week people would have school, work, what have you. And we were only scheduled to need 3 days, but we ended up having to come back another day because the scene where Arden and Anna are on the bridge, that location, specific location, closes every time it rains because the moisture would just make the pathways too muddy and it's not safe for people. So we had to come back another weekend for that specific scene. And honestly, every single day that we were out there shooting, I don't think we ever necessarily stayed late past the expected wrap time because, I have such a talented crew to work with. My cast was lovely. We never took more than about 3 takes because they were just on top of everything. And I really have to commend everybody who helped me on this project because end of October last year in Texas was blazing hot. We were out there during, peak daylight hours, and it was just brutal. And not to mention we were carrying like wagons full of equipment, snacks, waters and stuff through like miles of this park trail that we were in. we officially wrapped the Blue Hour early November, and then I had the rest of November, beginning of December, because that's when classes would end, to finish editing the Blue Hour. And working with my editor, along with trying to submit drafts to my professor, I think we went through about 3 or so drafts before the Blue Hour was finalized and completed into the version that it is now. And I can honestly say that I am so happy with it, with how it turned out. I couldn't be prouder. This is essentially my first film as a filmmaker. So it's my little baby in a way, and I just love it so much. I had such a fun time creating it. I learned a lot. Exteriors are tough. How to work with a very limited crew. I think I only had about 6 or 7 crew members, which isn't a lot. But for a student production, you work with what you have because, like I said, you're juggling classwork and all that. My classmates were working on their own projects, helping on other people's film sets. So we were constantly borrowing crew members from each other. And I know I keep saying it, but I honestly really couldn't be more grateful to everybody who helped me on this film, which is why I wanted to showcase them a little through the behind the scenes pictures I included in the credits scene, through the little Polaroids templates that I included, and then that sweet little director's message at the end where I basically say it's dedicated to everybody, because it really is a love letter to myself and every creative person out there, because art is such a unique thing, and art in a way unifies us all, whether or not you're a filmmaker, whether you're a photographer like Arden is, whether you're a visual artist, or you're a musician. I think creating art is a way for you to sort of express yourself, and it's your voice, and I don't think your voice ever deserves to be silenced. Whether that's through, censorship or getting rejected, creating art is such a powerful thing for yourself, for the world, and I think people should keep creating. I think personally I've achieved what I wanted the Blue Hour to do, and that is telling my story through quite literally my lens, through Arden's lens, in a very personal yet hopefully inspirational way. Because in the end, it's almost like a diary entry. It's a love letter, like I keep saying, to myself and every other artist out there. And I can only hope that it reaches as many artists as it can, and inspires them to keep creating, to not give up, whether or not, they feel like me, they're new to the scene, they feel like they don't have as much experience or knowledge as everybody else, because in the end, you wanted to do this for a reason. Your passion for creating, whether you're a filmmaker, you're a photographer like Arden, you wanted to do it for a reason, and you shouldn't let outside obstacles stop you from doing that, whether it's getting rejected from a job you really wanted, or whether it's not a lot of people engaging with your stuff. As long as you're creating for you, and I think as long as you're staying true to yourself, and really staying grounded and always remembering why you're doing this, it's always going to work out in the end, no matter what.